Hello, my name is Jack McLaren. I'm a member of Provincial Parliament for the riding of Carleton, Mississippi Mills in the Ottawa area. I'm here with a friend of mine, Dave Honey, who is president of the Niagara Landowners Association, and we both want to say a few words to you today about a very important subject, about a very important man, and that man is named Bob Mackie. Today, we will have second reading of my private member's bill, Bill number 32, which is called or titled the Bob Mackie Act. This bill will repeal the Niagara Escarpment Planning and Development Act. The Niagara Escarpment Planning and Development Act was passed into law in 1973. This legislation was intended to be temporary as a planning authority to provide planning for the entire length of the Niagara Escarpment until such time as local municipalities would have their own official plans and planners on staff to be able to fulfill that planning function for the entire length of the Niagara Escarpment. That time has come. The time is now to repeal this legislation, which is defined that it would be temporary in the legislation itself, because all municipalities along the Niagara Escarpment now have official plans. They have planners on staff, and so they are capable and able to provide the planning that is needed to look after all aspects of planning along the Niagara Escarpment. Municipalities want this authority. Today we will debate and vote on the repeal of the Niagara Escarpment Planning and Development Act. And all municipalities are looking forward or would welcome the idea or the concept that they would do the planning for their own municipalities. Always governance of any kind, and especially with respect to land use planning, it's always done better and more in a more open, comprehensive, transparent manner, a more accountable manner, if it's done at the grassroots level by municipalities. The Niagara Escarpment Commission is an appointed body with no fixed term of office. So there's no oversight, no accountability, and they're unelected. If we go back to if we give planning authority to the municipalities, there is oversight and accountability by virtue of the fact that the politicians, the municipal councillors and mayors, are elected every 4 years. And therefore they are accountable to the electorate. And if they don't do the job right, the electorate has the opportunity every 4 years to replace them with other people. And always, good local governance is best done by local municipal government, not by higher level bodies. It's much more responsive to the needs of community, and it is governance by the community, by the local people. So what we're doing today will it'll be a big step towards putting planning where it should be with the municipalities and restoring, and effectively, municipalities will do a better job of having respect and regard for private property rights. In the case of Bob Mackie, the Niagara Escarpment Commission charged him with the terrible offense of having an archery training range on his 9-acre private property at Beamsville. And because in the Niagara Escarpment Plan it didn't mention that archery was a permitted use on agricultural land, and Bob's land has a land use designation of agriculture, that because it wasn't mentioned, that he wouldn't be allowed to do that it wasn't a permitted use. Now, the official plan didn't mention archery as not being allowed. The word archery just is not in the plan of the Niagara Escarpment Commission. So for that reason, they charged him with, they ordered him, wrote him an order, that Bob Mackie would have to cease his archery training business and remove his 2 mobile trailers that were indoor shooting ranges for winter and rainy day use. Bob was doing nothing wrong. He knew he was doing nothing wrong, and he refused to comply with that order, and he fought it in court for 7 years, which drained all his money away and all of his wealth, and the stress of it finally got to poor Bob. And last February, Bob Mackie died of a heart attack as a result of the stress of the battle of fighting the Niagara Escarpment Commission, who felt, in their wisdom, that it was inappropriate and illegal for Bob Mackie to have an archery training business that was valued and used in his community and valued by his municipality. We're going to correct that wrong today. We're going to repeal this legislation, the Niagara Escarpment Planning and Development Act, give planning authority back to the municipalities where it should be, and we're going to ensure that nobody else ever has to suffer from bad government the way Bob Mackie did. Thank you. Okay, Dave.
I've known Bob Mackie a considerable number of years, and I went through at least 15 court cases with him. I watched how the Niagara Escarpment Commission drained every penny out of his pocket. I watched how he went $500,000 in debt just through his court cases because there is no fair and equalization in our justice system. So after saying all of that, watching him go through the very last court case where the judge came down with the verdict, took 7 months to come down with the verdict, and the reason why she came down with that verdict is because she was threatened by the Crown, and I think that's very wrong in order to pass judgment on how she comes up to her decision. What happened in the very last court case, and the reason why I'm bringing this up now, is because they're using this court case of Bob Mackie to set precedents that our Crown land patents don't mean anything, which in fact they mean more than what the government wants to tell people. What happened was the Crown came through and they told the judge, the man told the judge, well, the judge asked him if he had anything to say. And finally, he gets up and he says, do you know what will happen? Do you know what will happen if you go through with this? If you send him to a higher court? Do you know what kind of can of worms you're going to be opening? And she says, well, what does it say in the Charter of Rights and Freedoms? And she asked him 3 times. And he stood up there in front of the judge and told the judge, he says, well, let me put it this way in layman's terms so that you understand this. I consider that a threat. And the judge should have been supreme in that case, and she should have judged properly. In this case, she took the threat and she made her decision on the threat. And therefore, our Crown land patent case could not go any further than this. And then the judicial system gave him a runaround. They sent him with all the different courts, and not one person would touch it. So this is what we're up against here. We need the finances from the government. If the government is going to do this to us, we need the finances to equalize the terms in court so that if they have 5 lawyers trying to take us down, then they need to pay 5 lawyers for us to make it fair and equal. And in the end, what will happen is they will be able to have legislation that is good for everybody, because that's what will come out of a just system, not just for the chosen rich. I would like to also, at this point, because I'm back as president again, Bob Mackie at the point of his death was president of the landowners. It fell back into my lap, and in this case here, I would like to thank Jack McLaren for all the hard work that he has done. He's taught me something that I think every MP and every MPP in the country should be looking at. And sometimes you just have to do what is right. That's Jack's own words. I've been to court cases all over the country with Jack, and I've seen how he stood up for the citizens of this country. And there's not a better man in this government than Jack McLaren. He's the only one that I know of that really and truly stands up for the people. And Bob Mackie, if he was here today, he would be proud of this. And I thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave. It's very proud for me to be here today with you and the other Landowners Association members who are with us today to remember Bob and the wrong that was done. And we have the privilege of doing the right thing, or doing the very best we can to make sure right gets done. And that's why we are here today. Thank you.